Greetings Exiles, this is Raziel coming to you with Sir Reginald Amadeus Fortescue III and Frank, and today we're going to be bringing you our RighteouSplosion Berserker. The RighteouSplosion Berserker's main role in the RighteouSplosion Sixpack is a decent balance between life and damage, and possibly the most versatile RighteouSplosion character aside from the Pathfinder. Basically, this is your general gameplay RighteouSplosion character if you don't like to keep your flasks sustained all the time. RighteouSplosion uses regular pure righteous fire along with some essence juice to increase its damage. So let's just go over the passive tree. Starting with our ascendancy, we grab Crave the Slaughter. This gives us some extra attack speed when we've been hit and some extra movement speed when we haven't been hit. We then go to Aspect of Carnage, which gives us 10% increased damage taken, while also giving us 40% more damage, making our Righteous Fire and our explosions hit a lot harder. Next we're grabbing Pain Reaver, which gives us some leech from our explosions, which actually turns out to be quite a lot in the end, and it also gives us some mana leech to help with that situation. Lastly, we pick up Warbringer. This is one of the most underrated healing methods I've seen in the game. It's completely unconditional, which means that when I cast my Enduring Cry, I get 25% of my life and 25% of my mana. Nothing can affect that recovery.
No exceptions.
It also increases the duration of our Enduring Cry, making the regeneration it grants us actually able to last as long as it takes to recover under certain circumstances. All in all, this node is probably worth about 15% life regeneration on our character. 12.5% from the Enduring Cry every 2 seconds. If you want to cast it every 2 seconds, you don't have to. As well as the 394 life regeneration granted by a level 20 Enduring Cry. So let's go over the passives themselves. We come out of the life and armor nodes into the life regeneration side and into Warrior's Blood for some more life regeneration and strength. Coming through Heart of the Warrior for a very nice life node. Into Born to Fight for some attack speed and strength. Coming out of there and grabbing Combat Stamina for the life regeneration, armor and life that provides. Grabbing the Jewel Socket for a life, armor, resistances, dexterity, whatever you may need jewel. Coming down into Constitution to pick up all these life nodes when we can and when we need them. Going to Shaper for the life regeneration. Into the Scion's life regeneration nodes and jewel socket, which we can either socket another life, damage, resistances jewel, or we can socket an Intuitive Leap to grab 10% extra radius. That's up to you. Elemental Equilibrium, the jewel socket. We grab Quick Recovery for the life and regeneration that provides. And we grab Elemental Overload for the 40% more damage if we've crit. We then come through into the Templar tree with Retribution for the attack speed and spell damage, Discipline and Training for the large life boost, Sanctity for the life regeneration, Amplify for the radius and area damage that provides, Elementalist for the resistances and elemental damage, coming into Devotion for the strength and life, and Endurance for the extra endurance charge. Then coming down the side of the Marauder, we grab Arsonist for the fire damage and life regeneration, and Barbarism for the increased maximum fire resistance and life. We then come through Stamina and life regeneration per endurance charge for the life regen and the endurance charge. We come down into Juggernaut for the armor, life, and life recovery from flasks that provides. We then come through and grab Bloodless for the extra life. And then coming up into the Duelist tree, we grab Master of the Arena for the extra Cyclone Radius as well as life regen and strength. We grab Bravery for the armor and life. And Art of the Gladiator for the attack speed, dexterity and extra movement speed that would end up providing us. We then come down into the Vigor for the +1 maximum endurance charge, and Golem's Blood for the life regeneration and life. Should we need to, we can pick up the Jewel Socket and insert an Intuitive Leap so that we can also grab Revelry and Cloth and Chain. Although this seemed less worthwhile on the Berserker due to the fact that we already have Mana Leech, which ends up being more than enough to keep our Cyclone sustained. And that is that for the passive tree. Now let's go over our gear. First up we have a Karui Scepter, which is enchanted with an Essence of Hysteria to give us 10% chance to cast level 20 Fire Burst on hit. This is where the Splosion in RighteouSplosion comes from. On this we would like a flat elemental damage of a type other than fire to proc our elemental equilibrium, as well as attack speed, and if we can have an open suffix to craft weapon range, that'll be all the better. Socketed in this we have Controlled Destruction, Fire Penetration and Iron Will, which will support our explosions and increase their damage. For our helm we have an Armor Helm, which has been enchanted by the Essence of Horror. This provides us with socketed gems deal 30% more elemental damage, increasing the damage of our Righteous Fire, which is socketed into it, along with Concentrated Effect, Elemental Focus, and increased burning damage. For our shield, we're using a Rise of the Phoenix, and socketed in that we have Determination, Enduring Cry, and possibly Purity of Fire if we're not wearing the Pariah. For our gloves, we're using an Essence of Insanity crafted pair of Dragon Scale Gauntlets, with socketed gems have 20% more attack and cast speed. On this we would like life, accuracy rating, strength and resistances. Some combination of those things. Socketed in that we have Cyclone, life gain on hit, faster attacks and Fortify. Fortify or life gain on hit can be swapped out for Leap Slam to increase our movement speed when doing easier maps. For our boots we're using Death's Door to give us an additional endurance charge and make us immune to bleeding. Socketed in those, we want Vortex and Blade Vortex linked to cast when damage taken and increased duration. For our body armor, we're using Calm's Heart for that increased life and fire damage, and since we don't need a 6 link to make the build work. For our belt, we're using a +1 maximum endurance charges life resist belt that can also have things like armor and flask charges used and things like that. For our amulet, we use a marble amulet with life and resists and any stats that we still might need. Our first ring is a Calm's Way, which gives us some more regen per endurance charge as well as an additional endurance charge. Our other ring can be the Pariah, which gives us +2 socketed gems and 100 maximum life with a red socket, in which we have a Purity of Fire level 21 for 5% max fire resistance. If you don't have a Pariah or a Purity of Fire level 21, you can just use a Life Resistance's rare ring and socket the Purity of Fire into your shield. For our flasks, we use 2 Eternal Life flasks for healing, a Witchfire Brew for increased damage over time, and the Vulnerability Curse. We also use Dying Sun. While it's not required, this does boost our area of effect and our regeneration by increasing our maximum fire resistance, so it's definitely one of those chase uniques that you'll want to get for this build. Lastly, I'm just using a movement speed flask, but this is situational. You could use a basalt flask for high physical damage bosses, or topaz flask for high lightning damage bosses, and so on. And that is the gear. For myself, Sir Reginald Amadeus Fortescue III, and Frank, we would like to thank you for watching, and good luck and stay juicy. And like and subscribe. And follow me on Twitter.